You see black. Not same. This one, not same. This one. Black, not same. Wow, ไปแล้วแมลงเยอะ
Well, there's plenty of mangoes, guys, and as you can see, the rice is growing, so that's germinated well, and we've been feeding that with the water from the solar bore pump, but we've also had some good drops of rain, so as you can see off into the distance, everything's green. So we've got this paddock here, one more the other side of this big tree, and then there's a third one of ours which is the other side of that next tree, the smaller tree beside the big one, but it's on their next rye. Okay, so that's all good. Dogs as much trouble as dogs always are. Dams are full. I've been busy cutting all down that side of the dam, so now we can actually see the bananas, and had a big burn of everything that came out of there, quite a substantial amount. We've got some dark clouds at the moment, and the light's on again for the fish. They'll be feeding soon. Townie's making flowers. We've got Bung Bang Phai in Bandon He tomorrow, and so she's preparing flowers today because she plans to sell on Sunday and Monday. Today's Friday, so normally she'd be busy making flowers on the Saturday, but we're going to be at the Bung Bang Phai, so hopefully I'll have some video for you of that. And as I said, we've got some clouds up there. Time at the moment, it's about 5:30 p.m. There's a beautiful sort of arrangement of clouds and a bit of sun that's sneaking through the two levels of clouds and illuminating that high cumulus cloud that's there, or the top section of it. That's quite interesting. So all good and all well and good. Everything's growing. Seedlings barely, not even a month ago. That chili plant is producing quite well. still haven't. We still don't have our electric bore pump, the original main one, which fills the 2 tanks. That bore is dry, and only a few days ago I was off at the brother-in-law's place, which is heading off in that direction in front of us, the other side of the rubber trees, brother-in-law's house, DJ Hass. Tried to help him with his solar pump because he'd stopped getting water, but his well was deeper than the pipe was, so we managed to put in a few more meters of pipe to get the pump going down further, and he's back online with water. So there you go, the water table had dropped substantially, and it's still down, that he needed to put his pick up his pipe and pump down further. Here's a, I don't know, do you call them bromeliads? A fern type plant that all of a sudden has burst into life. I took it from a spot where it wasn't getting a lot of water, it wasn't getting a lot of sun. Not that they normally need direct sun, they tend to shy away from that. But when I put it in this concrete circle here, which we had something previously in that died. So I put the guy in here, and it had these 2 fronds on it. I cut a lot of dead ones off, but I left these 2 so that it was getting some form of photosynthesis. And then all of a sudden, this heart in the middle, that looks like sort of feathers clustered, broke open, and all of these guys came out. And that is 2 days growth. They came out small, about the size of those cut ends that are down there on the right, and then all of a sudden they've responded. So that was good. I was hoping that would come back to life, because these things tend to take a long time to sort of grow or get to the maturity and size that this guy is, and I was worried that we were going to lose him, so I put him in here and he's responded. So I have plans for this area behind the house here. We don't really have a garden per se, we've got a farm, but we're planning on having a bit of a garden area here. So I've been doing some work here, doing a bit of levelling of the land. The old farmhouse, which was always going to be a project, but funds were never available for it. We were always building something else or doing something different, another project somewhere else to actually make the farm a habitable place for us. Well, I don't intend to spend too much money on it, but we're going to do some work on this. But the ground is on multiple levels here, and it's a bit of an issue because the water that comes off the roof goes onto the ground on this side. I'll just walk around there so you can see it. So quite a bit of rain comes off of that, and it drops on the ground here. And the ground is actually, as you can see, sort of slanting inwards towards the house. So the water that drops here tends to go down under here. There was a tree here. It was just there in that little muddy patch there. And yes, it was stunted, but it was scrabbling for life, and it kept on bushing out all this area. And we did have some of this steel fence mesh here across here, and I thought it was time for that to go because I want to do some work on this. This place was originally built with second-hand timber, and you can see none of the timbers were really long enough, and they were joined together, nailed together. Oh. The words that come to mind: horrific. No, you can't say that. It was probably put together as the need was there, and they used the resources which were available, and that's what we ended up with. Anyway, my plan is to make sure that we have viable uprights in all the right places. Some of these are a little bit suspect, so I'll either be bracing them with a second or replacing them. Replacing them is a sort of a last resort, but we'll be doing something there. The floors are kind of sort of slanting, and then we have a second floor. You kind of see middle screen, you can see the edge of it. That's about a foot above the level of this one. I would really like to flatten it out if I can. There is a small room, which is pretty well living quarters for the people who built this. And Mem used to actually sleeping there some nights too before I met her and before we built everything else we got here. And so I'll be taking that out and trying to have generally a large open area. I'll take out some of these walls. I would like to put a railing around it of some nature. Something a bit prettier than what we have here now, half height. I don't know, maybe some sort of turned poles like this, or maybe even some planking, but there's a lot of ant damage in areas, and that's got to be addressed. Some of these timbers are paper thin, and so a couple of ways I can go with it. But getting back to the actual level of the ground, we want to concrete the whole underside of this and this veranda area, and then we'll be able to park things like the cultivator in here, and possibly even make it a secure area that we can put some mesh and some gates on it. But because of the slope of the land, it's on a couple of levels, so the concrete might have to duplicate that. So from the other side coming in to these middle posts that you can see on screen now, might have to be one level, and then this side it might have to be down another level, however many inches that works out. It won't be a foot, but it'll be a bit smaller than that. But the fall of the land still goes further. So if you can see here, this is the kind of level that's here, and this, which used to be the shower and toilet block, which has become my utility room for storage. I got as far as painting that up to make it look a little bit presentable, but that's on a separate level again, so multiple levels to deal with. The tank room is up on a level which is probably the highest level, so this area that we're walking in now, we might actually have to drop that and put some blocks across the end of that concrete and drop to a new level here. The concrete on the front veranda might have to be on the same level as the tank room, but then I think we'll have a step down into here, and probably blocks along this opening here where the hose is hanging down, to a similar level. I've been through and put some fill in here, and I heavily watered it because I want it to settle and I want it to be strong. I don't want to wait a couple of wet seasons or whatever before it's strong enough to put concrete on. So I'll keep doing that, and I'll keep working at the levels, and we'll get with something to work with. But I'll need to get the uprights sorted out. Once I'm happy with the uprights, then I can look at the cross beams, the main bearers. And once I'm happy that I have replaced anything there that's suspect, then I can make sure that the floor is all happy. But of course, once I'm happy with the uprights, then I can put the concrete in. We'll get that sort of sealed and locked away, and then I can start working on, would you call it the superstructure? Everything sort of above the level of this base framework and posts, and we'll get that happening. But this will be a long-term project. This will be when sort of I'll be throwing pocket money at it over quite a period of time, I think, because I don't have the funds to invest a lot of money in it. And there will be a lot of recycled in it. There will be a lot of inventive construction going on here. But it all relies on there being a good strong base there. Some places I'm going to sort of I won't say cheat, but I'm going to, I'd like to do it all with timber, but I think that's not feasible. That's going to probably be quite expensive. The roof on this side, all the sheeting is great. Again, bearers are only barely long enough or had been cobbled together, overlapping and nailed to make them go the length. Some are all well and good and fine. Some, as you can see, the ants have made a mess of. And that outer piece of timber is ready for the fire pit, I think. So I might remove this roof and replace the timbers here with tube steel. Keep the metal, the sheet metal, but make that structure which is welded and strong, which will free up some of these timbers which are still in reasonable condition that I can use as building supplies on the rest of the building. This front awning here, all second-hand sheet metal, that's all dead, so that'll all go. The bearers, pretty much same story as around the side. There's some sections of good timber in it, I'll keep that. You can see that there are sort of saplings which have been used as the what do you call them, the rafters going that way horizontally. Yeah, that's horizontal is probably not the word for it anyway. But yeah, I might take that down and I might make that one also out of steel, which can be done reasonably cheaply. Some new tin for the roof, and again I'll have some more free timber that might be better used elsewhere. That little room inside, that's coming out. There are some areas like that bearer there that needs serious attention. Some places in it there's not much thickness left in it, so I'll have to see if I can get I'm not sure what that is, maybe a 6x2, a 5x2, 6x2, and get something that will go across there, or even replace that with a steel replacement. But apart from that, once those main structural elements are done, that side will be under control. We'll have concrete on the floor. This roof will all be replaced. A lot of this timber on the sides, that'll be gone. That'll be open to sort of waist height, and there'll be some sort of fence or surround there. That room will be gone. I'll get rid of those electrics and I'll put in an RCB consumer unit, they call it, with with RCBs in it. Then I'll go through and have a look at the floor. I'm going to have to buy some boards there to do something with that. But I have a ladder. I want a proper stairs for here, which we'll have to have fabricated or buy a second-hand one somewhere that we can cut and fit. And beyond that, everything will need dousing in some form of preservative that dissuades ants and aging and gives strength to the strength, colour and character to the actual structure. So that'll be our little, what would you call it? It's not an outhouse, little ante-room that will have views of the farm from there. Maybe somewhere we sit in an evening and have friends or card game or beer or something like that. Just a nice little place. This area out here, I'll be looking at buying more of these posts and extending that out to that lemon tree. Eventually I think it might actually go right to the house, but Talon is very much attached to lemon trees, and if I start chopping them up I get in trouble. But yeah, a number of posts out here, probably Might be as many as a dozen, because we'll go out close to those trees there too. Steel framework on top, and we'll cover all that in generally in shade cloth. We'll leave gaps for things like this guy to poke through, and the ones that's surviving, and we'll have that as a covered area, because we have a lot of orchids in pots that really need somewhere better than where they are now, and we'll look at doing that. So that's about where we're at the moment. The light's on to draw the fish, and I'll show you that shortly. Talon's been very busy. The past couple of days, you can see one bucket full of mangoes. There's 50 mangoes in there. They're the ripe ones. They fall off of the tree down there, like where that bit of smoke is, just the side of it. And we'll get about 50 to 80 will drop overnight. I think it's a change in temperature as the day cools and the night comes on and the cooler, and they seem to detach and fall to the ground. We pick them up in the morning. But we had probably 6 or 8 buckets of those here, and Tony had a whole probably 350, 400 of the other type of mango, the green ones, on the ground here earlier in the morning. These guys here, and she's processed a lot of those and made it into the mango chew. What do you do when you've got so many mangoes you can't eat them or sell them? Well, this is what you do. You peel them, you take out the pip, the stone, and you cook them up. You don't add anything, sugar or gelatin or anything to it. And when you've boiled off a lot of the fluid, and you're left with pretty much the fibre and the flavour, then it's pretty much like syrup. And you roll out some plastic, and then you spread it out on it in the sun, and you end up making mango chews, I guess you'd call them. So all of this is busily drying in the sun, and Talony has been really busy here. Mango, anybody? So that's where we're at the moment, guys. The day's cooled down a bit. It was quite warm. We had some rumbling a few minutes ago from probably thunder, and we haven't seen any lightning, but chances are there might be a storm brewing that we might get later tonight. We're officially, as of yesterday, in the powers that be say that the wet season has officially started in Thailand. Well, it has. You've had a couple of weeks of good rain and good indication, a good start to the season for the rice, and that's kicked off well. So yeah, it's rice season. Things are growing like billy-o, so I have been doing cutting, and I've got a lot more cutting to do just in a matter of 2 days. Areas that I've cut sprout up quickly again, so that'll be an ongoing thing for a while, and that'll settle. I guess there's sort of a lot of seeds germinate with the rain, and it takes a while until you sort of get through that horde of seeds before it slows down to a manageable level. So we'll deal with that. But it also means that with the rains that we've had and the ground and everything being reasonably damp, it means we've cut back dramatically on our watering. So where I could spend 3, 4, 5 hours watering in a morning, or Talony, if she's here and not working selling the flowers in the market, we're not doing that. And we haven't probably put water now for about 3 days, and prior to that it was probably 3 days again. So yeah, while that's happening, things are a lot more relaxed. We are having more time to do other things. So, you know, like the old house that I was talking about, can finally get into doing some work on things like that. So that's the way it goes. As the seasons change, the focus changes. We probably won't have the same volume of flowers and the same amount of watering there. We do now have the flowers on Jib Joyce's property. You know, I cut those out. So the flowers on the roadman now on our property, they were cut and burnt, but that's been resown, and they're coming up to about shin high. So they've got a few more weeks to go before they're starting to show signs of flowering. Another patch of flowers has been sown on the area where Townley put the fill when we dug out this second dam, and the fill was used to bring that area of land along that border up. Well, that's where we have the beans, the tuas. They're growing famous, fully covered now. They're fully up and covered the framework, and they're producing. Cucumbers over there, they've covered their framework and they're in flower, so that means the fruit's coming. Cucumbers are coming. There's a big area there of flowers have been sown in there as well. There's some other vegetables, and there's papaya, some banana plants. They'll take a while before they settle in, but yeah, all good. Focus changes. So there's 2 sort of flower patches there. That will probably be it. I'm not sure where we're going to go with the vegetables, whether we're going to continue with the vegetables or whether Townley's going to have that reploughed and sown. We'll find out about the same time, and I'll bring it to you in a video. The new dam, going great. Solar pump's fine. There's the dam. That's where the fill came from. They're looking beautiful. It's got a nice colour in it, plenty of fish in it already, but we have the situation where the water is transgressing this bund here, and with that the fish too, so they make their way across. The water's down a little bit from a couple of days ago, so we're still getting leaching into the ground and the water table's still down, so the rain tops it up, and then a few days later it sort of comes down a bit. So, but you can see there that was a walkway, that was dry before. That brown area there, you can see the grass on the other side, but the fish make their way across that without any trouble. So both dams are happily populated now. Thanks for watching, guys. I really didn't have a lot to show you this time, but tomorrow hopefully I will get some good video of Bung Bang Phai. Bung Bang Phai is the annual rocket festival. It's predominantly associated with a single province, which is Yasothon, which is famous for. And the Bung Bang Phai, it is held, even though Yasothon is a province, it is held in many of, what would you call them, sub-cities, because Yasothon province has a capital city of Yasothon, and then all of the sub-districts, like we're out in Long Nok Ta, Samyak, and we have Bandan He, Bandan, Bangkok Soon, all sub sort of areas. And Bangkok Soon had Bung Bang Phai about a week and a half ago. Bandan He predominantly is the sort of sub-locality here that has the large festival for this area, and that's on tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be able to get some good video of that and a bit of continuity for you to be able to enjoy it. So we'll catch up with you then. Bye for now, guys.